Hey guys, Adam here. Have you ever wanted to turn your recorded gaming content, such as your Twitch VODs, into watchable content for YouTube, but maybe you don't have the time to edit it down or the money to buy an expensive Adobe product to do so? Well, today I'm here to show you a tutorial on how you can do this yourself, fast, easily, and for free. All right, let's just jump right into it. So the program I use is called Davinci Resolve. If you've already used Davinci Resolve, I do recommend making sure you have version 16 or higher, as that added some features that we're going to go over here that I think are very important for this. If you don't have Davinci, go to Google or whatever your preferred search engine is and look up Davinci Resolve, D-A-V-I-N-C-I Resolve. It'll bring the top result here, blackmagicdesign.com. That's the one you're going to go to. You can go directly to this site and search for Davinci. This is the official home of this product, though, without having to type all of this stuff. I just find it easier to go through the search engine. At the very bottom of the page, you're going to see these download links. Now, Davinci Resolve is free. They do have some upgraded versions, but you don't need those to do this at all. So I highly recommend just getting this free one. You don't need the beta or anything like that. Just go ahead and download. Once it's downloaded, make sure you install it. Checkbox all the things that it's trying to install. It's not going to try to install any kind of, toolbar on your browser or anything like that. I won't go over how to install it. You should probably already know that since you're recording game, video, and content. So I'm not going to baby you in that regard. So once you have that all up and installed, just go ahead and open Resolve. It's going to take just a couple moments to load, depending on, of course, how fast your computer is. So once Davinci Resolve has loaded, you'll see something like this. If it's your first time using it, you're not going to see all these other projects, but you can just double click Untitled Project. And it's going to open a screen much like this. I think initially there are two preview windows here. I've closed one of them, but that's not a big deal. You can leave it if you would like. So again, this is on how to turn your long VODs, regardless how long your videos are, into watchable YouTube chunks, regardless of how long you want to do those. So once you're in here, you can import the media, so you can right click and import, but the easiest way for me, there's import media, which you'll, search what folders you want to bring in your music or video or whatever. What I do is I go ahead and I grab the folder with the content I want in it. Here is some content for a game called Warsaw that I recently played. I've already edited this content, but I did leave some raw footage in order to use here. So what I do is I take the raw VOD and I just drop it in here. It's going to take just a little bit to load, again, depending on how fast your computer is. Now this is an older one, so I don't think it's 60 frames, but you can go ahead and hit change. Change will make it go ahead and automatically update Davinci, or at least the work that you're doing at that point, to match whatever frame and resolution that video is. So you want to drag all your media that you're going to use. So like I said, the raw VOD, this is a complete Twitch stream. I downloaded it straight off of Twitch. You're also going to want to pull over any intro, outro, and transition that you might want in there. Now Davinci does have some transitions in here. I'm not going to go over those too much, but I'll show you what I do when I need to transition into anything. So once that content is here, go ahead and drag the raw down onto the timeline. You just drag it from the media, and you'll see here that it propagates a blue and a green. The blue is your actual video content, and the green is the audio, so you can edit those separately if you'd like. Now, you'll see that by default, Davinci starts at the 1 hour mark. Don't let that throw you. You can change that into the options if you'd like. I leave it there just as default. Now, I am going to go over some hotkeys as I'm using this, or some shortcuts. So I recommend getting used to using the Alt key and your mouse wheel. So Alt, once you hold that down, use your mouse wheel, it's going to zoom in and out on content. It's going to be important for cuts and things like that. But initially, once you get the raw footage in here, I would scroll over and see how long the footage is. So this is showing about 7 hours, and we know it starts on hour 1, so this is 6 hours. Now the reason why I do this is right off the bat, I'm going to do prep for how many episodes I'm going to make. So if you're making 30-minute chunks, of course, this would be 12 episodes or something like that. So the hotkey I use to make these different episodes is Control+N. Control+N is going to bring up new timeline. You can make a new timeline in the top options as well. Control-N is just faster for me. and name this whatever your episode is going to be. So for this, it would be Warsaw 01. We'll leave it all the other default. It's an empty timeline, only one video, one audio track. You can add more if you'd like. And again, there's the start time code. You can change this to 0. I just leave it as the default. So I'm going to do that. And again, Control N. I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm going to put as many episodes as I want to create right now all at once, or that I want to render at the end of this. And what's really awesome about this is you can render down as many separate videos as you would like off of that raw content without having to come in and, you know, do each separate video. You can do it that way if you'd like. This makes it a lot easier to set up, you know, 10, 12, 15, whatever amount of videos you want, even while you're sleeping or while you're out or something like that. So I'm just going to make 3 or 4 right now. We're probably not going to go through an entire edit. I'll just give you the, you know, how to do a few of these. But anyway, once you have done that, again, Control N to make a new timeline. You'll see them here from the drop down. We're going to go to Warsaw 01. Now, you can delete the default timeline 1. I do that. You don't really have to. But all you do to delete one of these is you click it over here in the media library and just hit your delete key or right click and delete. Excuse me. Go ahead and hit that. And you'll see that that's no longer available up here. All right. So now that you have all the episodes that you're working on for this project, timeline for each of those. And this is important for the render. We'll get back to that later, but this is an important step. You want to bring that raw content down. And again, you can use Alt and your mouse wheel to zoom in and out if you need to. Now, I don't put the intro and outro on yet. What I like to do is I like to cut out things like this intro first. So you can drag this, which will do what they call scrub through this. You can see kind of what's going on. And if you zoom in, you're seeing more frames here, right? So if you want to be more precise with your cuts. But for me, I leave it out quite a bit. And let's go ahead and mute this while I'm talking. And I'll drag through and I'll find where my starting screen is ending and where we're actually starting game content. And it's up to you how much of this you show, of course. For me, I usually just, you know, go all the way until we're actually starting the game. And then I'll listen to it a little bit to make sure, man, apparently I was talking a lot at the beginning of this video. But anyway, I'll make sure that I'm not starting in the beginning of a sentence or something like that. Now, the play controls are just about how they are with anything here, but you can use, again, hotkeys on your keyboard. The space bar is going to be your friend. It's the pause button. It's the play button. If you are paused, you can use the arrow keys forward and back to skip a frame at a time, which is pretty important if you're wanting to cut before a syllable or whatnot. I would say be cautious about where you cut. Like I said, you don't want to cut in the middle of a sentence or maybe in the middle of answering a question. You want it to be, especially in your first video or at the start of the video, relevant and smooth going into the game. So anyway, once you find that spot, you're going to click this razor here. This is the cut tool, blade edit mode. You can press B as well, I believe. And then you're just going to put it on the red line and you're going to click. By default, if it's anywhere near the red, it's going to click and cut right there on that frame, so you don't have to worry about being too precise. Now, once you've done this, you want to make sure you go back to the selection mode. You can select your intro. Again, you can right click and delete. I just hit the delete key. It deletes it and it moves all this to the left. All right, so now what I do is my videos are an hour long. So whatever your videos are, I would suggest you zoom in a little bit and you scrub through the first hour. And if you see like you're up for a bathroom break, or maybe you know that there was a part in your stream or video where there was downtime that you want to cut out, this is where you do it. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think on a further part of this, there's a bathroom break. I'll show you that. Usually mine aren't in the first hour, so I'll show you that on the next one. Anyway, you scrub through. If you have a camera, it's pretty easy to tell when you're up, of course. You just scrub through and watch for you standing up, watch for your chair, whatnot. So anyway, I'll go into about the hour mark. And again, since we started an hour, it's going to show 2. And then I know I want my videos to be around that length. So I'll look up there, and as I'm getting closer, I'll be kind of cautious about where I am. So maybe I want the first episode to make sure it doesn't end in the middle of a battle. So here's the middle, or the end of the battle, excuse me. And we can play this, and then awesome, hit proceed, and I pause it. Now, if I was doing this video for me, of course, I would then turn the sound on and make sure I'm cutting in at a good spot. But for this, you know, just make sure it's where you want to actually end that video before your outro or whatnot on your first episode. So again, we're going to hit the cut tool, click here, and here's the important part. Here's one of the really important parts about making this easy to do multiple episodes. So once you've cut that off, this is your first episode over here. You're going to go back to the selection tool. You're going to select everything to the right of that cut, so everything you don't want in your first video, and then you are going to hit Control and X. Basically what you're doing is you're cutting this, so it's kind of like copying it, but also deleting it from this one. So right now it's in my copy and paste bin, but it's no longer on this timeline. So then I go to Warsaw 2, up here at the top, again, the timeline that we made. I click right here at the beginning and just do Control V for paste, or you can right click paste. And as you can see, right from where I cut off is right here, and I'm ready to edit my second video. So you just keep doing this, and let me see if I can find an example of something I might want to cut out, just to show you how that is. And there's a little pitfall about that, so pretty important I do show. So let's just say I want to cut this out. Let's say I was at the restroom during this. So find the spot, you know, that's applicable right before you get up when you're talking about getting up or what have you, and cut that. And then we're going to zoom in because you're probably not going to be in the bathroom for 15 minutes. No one's going to save your stream if you are. But anyway, go ahead and go forward until you find when you sit back down. So you're going to cut that as well. Selection tool. You're going to click the part that you want to get rid of. And again, either right click and delete or just hit the delete key. Now, the important thing about this, something you have to be kind of cautious in, is in Davinci Resolve by default, if you are to drag something on the timeline over something else, it doesn't push it. It deletes it. So if I put this here, it's actually going to cut that, and we're going to have this weird jump cut. So there's a way around that, and I'll show you what I do to make sure that's not happening as I edit through the video. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this since this isn't an actual bathroom break. And I'm just going to go to the hour mark really quick. And you get the idea. So wherever you want to cut your episode, and again, it's the same thing. So we're just going to cut around 2. I'm not going to be very precise about this one. This isn't one I'm actually using. It's just for the example. Again, the cut tool, cut there, select the stuff for the next video, Control X. Go to Warsaw 3 or your third timeline, your third episode. Click down here, Control V to paste. All right. Let's say that we're done. Let's say that we're done. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. You are done with all your different parts, and you have it all broken down into your episodes here on the multiple timelines. It's, again, very important to do different timelines, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Now you're ready to do your intros and outros. There is a reason I do this this way. Part of it is because of those cuts that you saw overlapping when you drag them. I want to make sure that's not happening, and I find that if I do all the intros and outros at the same time, I'm more conscious that that stuff is happening. So let's go back to number 1 here. And what I do is I hit the home button. You can just go over there, but home will take you back to the beginning. I zoom in a fair amount, and you can just drag this out of the way. But here's the pitfall. If you have multiple clips here, so let's say, I edited a bathroom break out of the middle, and so there's 2 of these. I don't want to accidentally drag this over the other one because it's going to delete this. It's not going to push it. So what you have to make sure you do is select all. So what I do is I click down here and I hit Control A. Control A. Now Control A will select everything on this timeline. And if you have Control A, if you have everything selected, then you don't have to worry about it overriding. It's going to move everything at the same time. So I zoom in, I click, I hit Control A, and I move everything over. And once everything's over, I can drag down my intro, drag down my, I don't know if I put it up here. Yeah, there it is. My cut there, or whatever you want to call it, my other intro. So the Warsaw specific intro for this video, and then my kind of transition intro. And then we want to make sure these line up. Now, the last thing that we'll do on this one, aside from add the outro, is if we zoom in, you see these little parts that you can grab. These are very basic transitions, and you can add all kinds of transitions. In my opinion, if you're making these videos, especially if you want to make it quickly, I would just leave the default ones. And anytime you go from, one scene to the other when it's completely different, like the intro to the game, I just drag about 20. Don't know why, but 20 looks good to me, so I drag it to 20 on each of these. So again, drag this until it says 20 to the left on the intro, and on the starting of this to the right. And what this does, if we now look, is it kind of fades in. So let's let this play. As you can see, instead of it being like a super cut, it's a slight fade. And you can pull that further to make it as long as you want. Okay, so now that we've done this, I'm gonna hit the end key. This is gonna go to the very end. And again, I'm gonna put my transition that I have here, my short transition and my outro. You might not have an outro. This might even just be your end screen for YouTube where you're gonna put your please subscribe, your next video, whatever the case. This is what you're gonna do. And again, I do that 20 seconds thing there. All right, and so now if we zoom out, you can't really see here, but you can see here's the content. Here's the transition that I use, and there's the outro. If we hit home to go back to the beginning, same thing. We got the intro, got this screen, got this. All right, so this one's done. Make sure you save while you're doing this. Of course, Control S is the easiest way to save. You can also just go up and save the traditional way by clicking your mouse like a caveman. No, it's good. However you want to save. Just make sure you save often. Never know when these things are going to crash. This program hasn't crashed much for me, but you never know. So anyway, you're going to go through and you're going to keep doing this for each episode. So we go to Warsaw 2, and let me display this. So again, if these were cut, right, and I'm dragging these around, it's going to overwrite. So you got to be careful. You see how it overwrites instead of pushes? So again, let's say that this was a bathroom break I edited out. So I'm going to make sure I click and do Control A, and this selects them all. So now I can drag it however I want. Very important. Maybe one of the biggest things in this, and I learned the hard way. I made a bunch of videos that had random cuts because I had accidentally drug things through. So anyway, again, zoom in, click Control A, move things over, put whatever intro you want. So this one I'm just going to do this, for instance. Zoom in, make your little shadowed transition thing there however you want. I do the 20 milliseconds or whatever it is. Then we're going to go to the end. You can use either the end key or you can zoom out and go to it. And we're going to put our outro and our subscribe screen or whatever. Zoom in and drag these transitions again. All right, so I'm only going to do these two. But like I said, the most important part is that when you are dragging things, especially when you're putting your intro and outro in, make sure you select everything here or it's going to overwrite. And the easiest way to do that is just to remember to always Control A. So my process is always the same when I get to this point. I go to the next episode, I hit home to go to the beginning, I click, I Control A, I drag the stuff to the right, I then bring down my intros, whatever I want to use, make sure this is lined up at this starting mark. I then hit the end key to go to the end. I put my outros down there, making sure my transition is over to point 2 for me. Use whatever you would like, of course. And that's pretty much it. So once you're done editing all your videos in here, and again, Davinci Resolve has a lot of features. I mean, you can do all kinds of crazy things with this. You can do effects and words and music and everything, but this is just a way to quickly get your Twitch VODs or gaming VODs into watchable chunks. But again, you can go through here and edit it as heavily as you want and cut things out and whatnot. But for the purpose of this tutorial, this is what I'm doing. Now, once you have done this, we're going to go render this, and you'll see one of the main reasons why we made all of these. So to render, you go to the bottom of DaVinci and you see these icons down here. Right now we're on edit. You're going to go over to deliver. Now when I first started using DaVinci, I kept trying to go up here, but there's no render up here and it was kind of annoying. So it's this little ship down here and you're going to go to deliver. Now I'm going to click on YouTube. You can click differently from where you want to, whatever quality or what video place you want to put yours on. I choose YouTube. And now comes into play the Davinci Resolve 16. In 16, you can actually have this upload directly to your YouTube. So in order to do that, just go to Davinci Resolve, go to Preferences, go down to internet accounts and link your YouTube. Here's mine, AdamVsEverything. Now, what's really awesome about this is once you have this set up, you can have this system to where you quickly edit your VODs down to whatever length you want, watchable chunks of 30 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, and you can set all this to render the video and upload to YouTube while you're gone, while you're sleeping, and so you don't have to do all that manual stuff, and it's very efficient. It doesn't take very long at all. Okay, so once you've chosen YouTube, there's some important parts here. Make sure you name this. Make sure this is episode 1. Those are the first two things. So up here, again, the timeline, just change that to your first episode, very important. And for me, I'm gonna do Warsaw 01. This was the first episode of Warsaw. And of course, choose wherever you want your download to go. I don't really, I'm just gonna click wherever that was for now, videos. Have yours wherever. Resolution 1920 by 1080. If you were in 720, you can click this and put it at whatever resolution. If you can have HD, or I strongly recommend it, but choose whatever is best for you, whatever you use for your video. For format, I suggest MP4. This is what YouTube prefers. Video codec H.264. That's also important. This is what YouTube will convert it into anyway. Audio is fine as main stereo. Audio codec AAC is fine. Burn in, same as project, and then upload directly to YouTube. Now what I do here, you can edit the description and whatnot, but I just go ahead and put the file name as the description. I'm gonna edit that stuff on YouTube anyway, because I wanna make sure I have, everything I want in there and add links and stuff like that. So visibility, set it to private. That way you can go in and set when it goes live. For me, I'm gonna set this to gaming. All right, so once you have this done, you hit add to render queue. You can ignore that. The reason it's showing that for me is because the content that I'm putting on here is actually a smaller resolution because it's an older stream video or whatever. But anyway, as you can see, we now have job 1 in the top right, Untitled Project Warsaw 01. It's untitled just because I didn't save. Now, what this is gonna do is this is gonna render your entire timeline that's Warsaw 01. So this is why it was important that we made these different timelines, so each one is a different episode. That way it renders this episode and then it uploads that one. So to queue up more, you just go up to the timeline again. In this case, Warsaw 02 for me, whatever your episode 2 is. And you're gonna do the same thing. All right, ignore that. That was because I had a link to a dead video. Basically, I'd moved the file. But anyway, make sure you change the file name. This is another very important one that I screwed up on early on. So what I did is I forgot to change the file name on the episodes, and what my Davinci Resolve did is it kept overwriting the file. So it would render episode 1 as Warsaw 01 _ for instance, and then it would render episode 2, and because it had the same name, it would just overwrite on my computer episode 1, and I ended up with my computer just overwriting the video over and over for 12 videos. So don't make that mistake. Make sure you change this to episode 2. Everything else, again, change it to whatever relates to your video. The main important ones here is MP4 and the H.264. Upload directly to YouTube if you have that linked, if that's where you want it to go. Change your description to 02, private, all that good stuff. Same as the first one, but it is very important that you get these things right. Don't just cruise through them. I know I've gotten to the habit of being a little bit too comfortable and then screwing myself up here, like I said, with that one saving over the other. All right. So once you have all your episodes, I'm just going to do the 2 here, but as many as you want to do, it doesn't matter as long as you, you don't mind your computer rendering for however long it takes. Once you do that, you're going to click on job 1, then hold the shift key and click on every other job that you want to do. Just make sure that all the ones that you want, if you only have one highlighted like this, it's only going to render that one. It won't do these unless you have them highlighted at the time you hit start render. So we're going to click on job 1, job 2, we're holding down the shift key, and then if I wanted to render these, we'd hit start render. I'm not going to do so because these, again, were just to show, but what's going to happen is it's going to show you the estimated time to render. It's going to completely render the video. It's going to save it wherever you told it to, and then if you've connected to YouTube, it's going to automatically upload to YouTube, and that's it. So this is the fastest and most efficient free way that I found to do this. The addition of Davinci allowing us to go straight to YouTube is amazing. Now, This is by no means an all-encompassing tutorial. There's much you can do with this program, and I'm sure there's tutorials out there for any specific thing that you want. But I hope this helps you. For a long time, I was in the position where I really wanted to get my Twitch VODs onto YouTube, but I didn't want monstrous 7-hour playthroughs on there, and I didn't want the intro from my stream, my bathroom breaks, and stuff like that. And this is a very easy way. Again, some of the pitfalls: make sure you don't let any of your clips overwrite other clips in the same timeline. Be careful with that dragging. Make sure you have things selected correctly. Make sure that you make a different timeline with Control N. Again, on the edit one here, on the edit screen, Control N will bring that up. And at the end, at the render stage, make sure you go through the settings for each of these and make sure the name is correct, the file types that you want. And when you get ready to render, after you've added these to the render queue, make sure all the ones are selected. Not just one, you're gonna have to hold that shift button. All right, and that's all there is to it. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's the first of its kind on the channel. If you'd like to see more content like this, let me know in the comments below or reach out on social media. You can also help out tremendously by leaving a like on this video, subscribing to the channel, and of course, checking out more of my videos. As always, thank you for watching.